everybody, welcome to the Faith and Fandom podcast, the Artist Alley Aftermath edition for Galaxycon Raleigh 2025. Coming in, full disclosure, this was a show that I honestly felt a little too tired to be doing. Life has been lifing. The amount of travel I've been doing lately, plus working a day job, plus all the things, I didn't feel as prepared as I wanted to be, but it was still, I feel like it was good. And honestly, like, I didn't feel prepared, but I was. I don't know if that makes sense. But like, there's a difference between you truly feel like you've got everything covered versus you're just getting through. But it's one of those things. Anyway, I'll get into it. But I headed up to Raleigh on Thursday morning at 6 a.m. or 6 somewhere in there, and unloaded my car. I've kind of got a pattern down for how that's going at the Cabarrus Street entrance. Like, there's just so many different specifications on how you do things and how you load in. And because it is such a spread out event. And so, yeah, I got to Raleigh by 8 o'clock and started loading in. And you take a giant freight elevator up, which they've got new freight elevators, which have to have someone manually run it and have crazier doors and all that jazz. But this is the third year that Artist Alley has been up on the fourth floor. And so I'm familiar. So I got off the freight elevator and I knew the steps of how to get from point A to point B, or so I thought, because I went through the kitchen area and through the back hallways the same way I had done the past 2 years. And lo and behold, I walked into an empty room, or at least a room of just chairs and no one around. And I was absolutely confused because I knew where it said and what it said in our contract and where we were, and I was just confused. So I stuck my head out a hallway and I was like, hey, where is Artist Alley? And the Artist Alley had moved 2 ballrooms over. The fourth floor, or the top floor of the Raleigh Convention Center, has 3 ballrooms, A, B, and C. And for the past 2 years, Artist Alley had been at the end of the escalator in Ballroom A, which meant that when people dropped off the escalator, Artist Alley was at least right in front of them. Now, you had to get off the escalator and turn right and go down, which left the main stage and some of the other stuff closer and put Artist Alley a little bit further out of the way than it already was. And it also confused me. Past that, the room was set up about the same. I've been next to the same chopstick / hair stick lady for the last 2 years. And I also usually put up my t-shirt shelf to my right. So I never actually see the booth on my right, which is either a positive or a negative, depending on how they feel. But I took the time to get set up. It took me almost, several hours to do it and to do it right. And not to harp on negatives or anything, but I've been dealing with some physical limitations and some body issues. I know that's super vague and unspecified, but keeping it vague and unspecified at the moment. And so this was a little bit harder than normal. But got set up, got everything together, and just kind of took a minute to breathe. But it was a good process. This was, a little bit different booth than I've ever set up. It always kind of is. but it was definitely a little bit different just in the fact of I was trying to squeeze more in smaller spaces, and yeah, it was just a lot. It was to the point where I have too many books for my little white book rack. So I had to put a shelf above my book rack to be able to put out the new kids' book and to have room for everything to be displayed, which is fine. It's good that that's the problem. Um, but yeah, that meant that some pens went some different places. And again, it was good, but it was still an adjustment. But got set up. Oh, and in the setup process, I got like halfway through setting up and my table was broken. Like the whole front left lip of the table was broken, so that when I started putting books on the shelf, the entire thing just flipped over. So I had to remove my racks, move my table. That's two big shows in a row where I had to redo my booth halfway through the process. But they were helpful. They did it about halfway through the process. They also had brought out donuts and coffee for the artists as they were setting up. And eventually got set up and kind of got rolling. As the show started, I was by myself. Um, and yeah, pretty early on, it started out though being encouraging. I had people literally within the first hour come by and say that this was the best thing ever, and they were really excited to see it. Um, a family came by that was uh, had been looking at the booth for years, and they had loved the booth, but they were scared to try Geek Church. Um, and so finally got to have a conversation with them and let them know what it was because, you know, again, if you just read Geek Church in a place like Galaxycon, you have no idea what's going to happen. And I totally get that. But it was nice to be able to kind of talk them off the ledge with that. The Glenn family, I want to give a huge shout out to Alicia and Michael Glenn. Somewhere in the process, they brought me a Korean corn dog. And that was basically all I ate that day because, yeah, it helped out a lot. And, you know, they later had some regrets or sadness about not being able to make it up to Artist Alley more. But listen, it's crazy trying to get all the way up to the fourth floor with kids and everything else. And I did my best to assure them later on that, you know, it was all good. But I appreciate the fact they care. So shout out to the Glenn family for all you do and just being supportive as you are. Um, I got through the process of the fact that my sticker company that I use printed too many stickers. I ended up with some extras of certain stickers, including my 21 Pilots sticker push on through. And so I had a full plan that whenever I saw anybody dressed as uh, a 21 Pilots character, whether it be like different versions of the lead singer or drummer or anything like that, that I would give them a sticker. And I normally do that anyway, but I know at GalaxyCon there was going to be a lot more. So I was grateful to have a few extra. And the first one I saw had, I called them out and, you know, said, can I give you a 21 Pilot sticker? And my sticker says push on through with a yellow flower growing out of an old radio because the song is called Oldie Station, but the chorus is push on through. And like they got emotional when I showed it to them, and because they had a push on through tattoo that they had just gotten, and they shared that with me. That was pretty cool. Uh, and that was a kind of a repeat experience throughout the weekend of 21 Pilots, people being excited, finding the stickers, sharing the fact that they had literal. I mean, there were a handful of people that had tattoos that said push on through. Made me a little jealous, honestly. Um, I had someone come through and not even in an ugly way. It was just like, this is the most unique art in the whole convention center. Um, so I am appreciative of that. Um, yeah, but it was a good day. It was a um, long-ish day, and yeah, it was a good long first day. Let's just say that. Um, And there was lots of encouragement. The Glenn family did show up as Pokemon characters. I got some sketches done. I did Invader Zim and stuff. There was a good Frankie cosplayer. Um, Saw some Ghibli folks. I got commissioned to do a BMO for somebody, and that was cool. I saw a lot of Frieren cosplayers this go round, which made my heart a little happy. Um, yeah, it's a good experience overall for a Thursday night. Um, about 8 o'clock as we were wrapping up, started to head out and try and get out of there. Weird Al Yankovic was performing across the street at the Red Hat Amphitheater that night, and so I wanted to hear as much free Weird Al music as I could. So I parked my car near the top of the parking deck so that I could just stand out there and listen for a bit before I left. And to my not processing the whole logistics of that situation, I put myself in a bad situation because putting myself at the top of the parking deck meant that all the other cars that were trying to leave right then were going to be jammed up. And I spent almost 45 minutes trying to get out of the parking deck on the first night. But I got to hear a decent amount of Weird Al. I eventually grabbed some McDonald's and crashed out at my hotel room. And yeah. Also found out that they added an additional artist alley, like a second artist alley at the Marriott across the street. So, again, unique experiences. I gave away 3 to 9. Uh, I'm making notes here, and I don't remember what it says. Um, but I was able to give away some different books on Friday to do some different stickers and stuff. One of the coolest things is the coffee shop downstairs, Complex Brew in the Raleigh Convention Center, actually made fan specific stickers for their mascot, which is a little cardinal. And they made a Senshi sticker from Delicious in Dungeon, which is wonderful. Um, but yeah, I gave away a good amount of stuff pretty early on Friday. Um, there was a dude who drove 2 hours just to be part of that. It was neat. Uh, Someone told me looking at my booth that my brain is a wonderful place. Um, I had a couple dudes come by and start cracking jokes and mocking the Geek Church thing when they saw it, but then I actually, told them, I was like, "Yo, this is a real church service," and they're like, "Wait, what? Really?" And they 100% showed up and like were part of it, and it was a good situation. Um, there was a dude who was really looking for horror devotional type stuff, and I'm trying to connect them with my friend Chris North. He got me some information. I'll get back to them. It got really, really hot in the convention center room we were in, like pretty hot overall, and it was a bit of a struggle, honestly, temperature wise in there sometimes. But it was steadily busy for Friday. A lot of good interactions, a lot of good conversations. Um, yeah, I had a dude who walked by and just literally stopped in front of the booth and said, "By the gory bowels of Hades, I kind of hate you right now." And I was like, "What did I do? Like, how did I provoke that reaction?" And especially the gory bowels of Hades. And it was because he had seen a VeggieTales sticker and like just grabbed all 3 VeggieTales stickers and was out. On that note, on the stickers, the Superman sticker, the Kindness is Punk Rock sticker, came in Wednesday evening in time for me to leave Friday morning, and it was an absolute smash. I think that was probably the most popular thing sticker wise of the whole weekend. And I had to reorder those before the show was even out, so that I would have some for the future going up. But There were people who were very encouraging, letting me know the stuff that I was doing was good. I had a really in-depth conversation about Red Hood and his character arcs and story development with a young lady that was wearing a bunch of Ditto stuff, and it was maybe the most uh, articulate and intelligent conversation I've had about Red Hood in the comic books with any other person ever. I was pretty excited about that. I also had a conversation with a Dobby cosplayer about his redemption arc and his family and the way his family loved him, and like we just had like this whole really good conversation in terms of uh, being able to have good communication with family. And like the Dobby cosplayer ended up a little teary as we were talking about it because she didn't know how where things were in the manga, and I asked her if I could tell her, and um, yeah, so that was pretty solid. Um, Ashley from Fangirling Over Jesus came by before the end of the day, and she brought me a custom Nightcrawler shirt. If you've seen, I've been wearing some of Ashley's shirts for years now. There's a Doctor Who shirt I normally wear of the 12th Doctor she designed for me. She also designed a Samwise Gamgee shirt that I've been wearing. And now she designed a Nightcrawler shirt, which honestly, like, if you see the pictures from Geek Church, that's what I was wearing to Geek Church, and that shirt is fire. I'm so excited to wear it again. My friend Katie came by and brought me some boba, and that was really good, and helped out doing some drawing and stuff. And also, I'm having some digestive issues, and so sitting around at the con all day is not good for like sitting around for 11 or 12 hours at a time. It's definitely not good for your digestion. Um, but yeah, but Friday overall was good. It was a good show. I had good experiences with everything. There were lots of Delicious and Dungeon cosplayers as well. I saw a really great BoJack Horseman group, which was good. A Dan to Dan group that was really good. Courage the Cowardly Dog group. You can see some of these in my photos from like a Saturday morning, I think I posted. But overall, I mean, the experiences were good and encouraging. One thing that really started picking up, and it was more so on Saturday, is the Christian protesters slash street preachers slash hecklers out in the uh, front of the building were really being negative and hurtful to people. And I had people constantly coming by my booth telling me that I should go deal with them, or they would see my stickers that said Jesus loves you but don't be a douche, or you can love God in anime, or that God is a fan of you. And they kept saying, you should take these stickers and go put them on these people downstairs. And I did have some people who bought the stickers specifically to go give to the street preachers. I don't think that's going to affect them or change their heart or attitude, but I'm also not stopping them from doing it. But it was, I hate that that's the thing. I hate that that's a discouragement. I know it's not just in Raleigh. It's at Galaxycon everywhere. It's at bigger shows like San Diego and things like that. So I know it's hard. Um, my friend Ben came by and brought some Pokemon cards for me to give away, which was greatly appreciated. Also, want to shout out to Three Bears Collectibles for also giving me Pokemon cards to give away. Artist Alley was so crowded; it was hard to actually. There weren't as many children in the room, just because it was so crowded with adults, and it's hard to get through. But yeah, Ben brought Pokemon cards. Someone came up to the booth and they stopped like 4 feet away, upset. They said, "What? No candles?" And I explained that I stopped making candles, that I ran out of wax, and I don't have room because I'm actually making more books and stuff. And they were just like, they turned around and walked away. Like they came up there just to get candles, and I disappointed them, and I am sorry about that. Um, but yeah, until I stumble upon a uh, massive vein of wax for cheap. I'm done with the candle business. I've moved on in terms of spacing and sizing, and I need bigger tables to be able to do that. Um, there was a young lady that was dressed as Abby from The Last of Us, and she had a bloody golf club If you're familiar with The Last of Us, you understand that. And as she was standing there, she actually turned too quickly and hit someone in the head with it. And, I just said, hey, that doesn't turn out too well in most scenarios. You might want to be careful. And we had a good laugh off of that. I met a group of people who moderate for a Christian Twitch stream. And they were really encouraging. They came by the booth and talked, and they were just, in general, there was a whole squad of them, and they were just genuinely kind and encouraging. And one of them even took the time to pray over me before he left. And listen, I will never be unhappy with people wanting to pray and wanting to pray over me and be encouraging like that, because I definitely need it. Yeah, I definitely need it and appreciate it greatly. One instance that was neat was that I was reunited with a former college uh, friend that I haven't personally seen in 25 years. The last time I saw him was like literally the year 2000 when we were in Bible college together in South Carolina. We've been Facebook friends and everything ever since then, but it's, 25 years since I saw the dude. And he brought his daughter and his niece, and his daughter was dressed as Spider-Gwen. The niece was dressed as Chopper, and then the next day they were dressed in Star Wars gear, and my friend wore the Chopper outfit, which is cute. You can see a picture of them with the Chopper and the Star Wars ladies. But it was neat seeing somebody I haven't seen in 25 years, and it was just like, just back to business. Hi, how you doing? His daughter wanted to get a couple books, and I just told her to take them and she can have them. And, I think that was encouraging for her, but she was dressed as Spider-Gwen, and I noticed that the book she didn't get, the book she got didn't have the Into the Spider-Verse chapters. So I ran from behind the booth and went up and gave her the Spider-Verse books as well. It was just cool. It was a good experience getting to see them, getting to meet them, and see the next generation all together. I got to see my friend Deborah Lanham, who was there, and she brought some cute little pocket hugs. Only got to see her for a brief minute, but it was nice. Yeah, she's doing youth ministry now too. And on that note, I was able to give 3 different new youth ministers my youth ministry book, which I don't really sell at cons, but I keep it on hand in case I do run into youth ministers. And so I was able to give away 3 of my youth ministry books, which is great. Then I also just got some encouragement. Let's say the name right here. Hold on. The Chewy's Den, lady that makes some arts and crafts and stuff like that. A few years ago at Wake Forest Comic Con, she came up and she gave me a little block that said "Just Today," which was, like a reminder to just, handle the things for the day, that, tomorrow has enough worries of its own. I kept that "Just Today" thing on my dashboard for years. She came by and she brought some new blocks that had anchor and scripture, and then she even did a sketch for me that says "Do everything in love." It's just really good. Her family has always been a huge encouragement to our cons and everything else, and I'm just really grateful for it. Also got to see Roshan, like the ocean, came by and got some Superman stickers. It was good experience overall. Great cosplayers, lots more Frieren. I started resketching the Delicious and Dungeon people because they all sold at another show and I forgot about that. Now that I've caught up on One Piece, I finally recognize Yamato, who is one of my favorite One Piece characters. And there was a span where there were 3 Yamato cosplayers in a matter of 5 minutes, which was nice. Again, Frieren is dominating the cosplay space, which just makes my heart happy and sad at the same time. And there were a good amount of Delicious and Dungeon cosplays too. Yeah, overall, it was just really solid experience with that. The Chambers family came by, and they brought some D20s, which was nice. Stephen and Kylie Chambers, Loved getting to see them. My friend Sarah and her husband Brad came by and hadn't seen them in forever. I don't think I've seen them since their wedding. I officiated their wedding and DJ'd their wedding, and I don't think I've seen them since. Um, but I was grateful for them coming by and getting to see them as well. One thing too, or my friend Danielle from like Lumberton came by. It was nice. She's out there living her best life. People kept giving me little Jesuses to give away. Um, and so I have a whole collection of little Jesuses. I was told that by Saturday there were 5 different street preachers out there, and the street preacher conversation kept happening. Yeah, it was it was a lot. Um, I don't know who it was, but someone came by the booth while I was away to show that they were still wearing a OG Faith and Fandom rubber bracelet. And I'm sad I missed that. Uh, but I am grateful for it. Um, there's some cool T-shirts that people had and stuff like that. One of my favorite fun interactions was I have a sticker that says "Gangsters need forehead kisses." And if you have seen me in photos or you've seen me at shows, especially during the summer, I'm always wearing a bandana because I'm sweaty and I'm trying to keep my hair from being all over the place, and usually try and color coordinate it with my outfit or something. Um, so a little girl read my "Gangsters Need Forehead" stickers, uh, "Gangsters Need Forehead Kisses" sticker, and says, "But how are people going to kiss your forehead if you cover it? Who's going to give you forehead kisses?" And I thought that was the sweetest thing, and I think it's the first time somebody was ever concerned about my lack of forehead kisses. Um, yeah, I got to see my friend Deborah Lanham then, and I got to see my other friend Deborah on Sunday, but I'll get there. Saturday night, ended up getting a crumble cookie and some Taco Bell, and it was nice. I was going to get some pizza that was right there by the hotel, but uh, just didn't happen. Um, but yeah, got the slides together for Geek Church on Saturday night. Made sure that was all together. Uh, but yeah, Saturday was good. It was a really busy, long day. It's the most packed, most intense, most crowded, but it's still a very good day. Um, got all the stuff together for Geek Church, uh, and packed up Sunday morning to go head out, and kind of used to how things are set up and moving through all of it. Um, I got to my booth for a minute, set up to head out, and got into the space where Geek Church was going to be, and it's a good sized space. But when I walked in, I was immediately thrown off because instead of being just chairs and rows like it's always been, there were round tables set up and not enough chairs. There were 100 chairs set up, but we had probably at least 30 people scattered around the room, sitting or standing, that didn't have chairs. And the folks that were setting it up were like, "Do you need anything?" I was like, "Yeah, can I get more chairs?" They're like, "No, we can't change how the room is set up. There's not enough time between stuff and everything." I was like, and I didn't complain, but I was like, "But, normally," and I was like, "You know what? This isn't your thing. I'm going to let it go." And I asked Ashley if she would help, and she helped greet people when they came in and told them to, sit, stand, wherever they could. Um, Caitlin Barber is a young lady who's been very active in the cons, and she's been asking me since last year about helping lead worship this year, and she helped lead worship, and she did an outstanding job, and I'm really grateful for her and her family for being part of it. We did the song, or we were talking about reboots and fresh starts and things, and so we did the song "Graves in the Gardens." And before Graves in the Gardens, I played the clip of Bring Out Your Dead from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Um, that the situations we think are dead aren't that as dead as we think. I had another friend that helped do the slides and everything, just people that are steadily faithful and encouraging and helping in those ways. Um, and some of the experiences that I got from Geek Church, you can listen to Geek Church, the message is up. Um, but there was one lady who came by and told me that it was her first time going to church or feeling comfortable in a church setting since her husband died 4 years ago. Another young lady had just lost her husband 6 months ago and was struggling, and there was a handful of people that were just really challenged and encouraged by how the message went. And here's the deal: the 4 days of Galaxycon are cool. I like getting to have those interactions and stuff like that, but Geek Church is what makes it worth it for me. Getting to minister to people there in that place, and watching the dude who was doing sound and everything in the back actually respond to stuff was like, okay, I'm grateful for this opportunity. It was just a good experience. But there was definitely some heaviness in the room. There was definitely some people that were struggling with stuff, and it was hitting in places that I didn't necessarily plan. Um, but yeah, it was good. I was just I was on time with it, I think. And we talked about, I mean, you can listen to the message if you want to, but we talked about Superman and Fantastic Four and how we need fresh starts and why we shouldn't give up or be disgruntled when people start over again. But it was like a fire hydrant or fire hose of encouragement after Geek Church. The amount of people coming by and like appreciating it and encouraging and things like that. And I was grateful for it. I'll just say this for the funny of it, for just the cultural situation of it. Immediately after Geek Church, the next event scheduled was a drag bingo. It was drag bingo. So right when I'm getting to the end of Geek Church, right when I'm finishing up the message and kind of, doing the almost gospel presentation of it, I've got a DJ and drag queens coming in and standing like right in the doorway because there wasn't room for them to go anywhere else. And so I'm like, okie dokie, this is where we are. This is what I'm doing. Rock on. But it was a good experience. It really was. But the amount of encouragement that I got after Geek Church was just phenomenal. It also made me incredibly sleepy. And I was so exhausted. Like, I got back, and I want to say I got back to the table at 12, somewhere in there. And I talked to people at the booth until maybe 3:30. And, like, at that point in time, I legitimately just wanted to pass out. Yeah, so sleepy. I had some more commissions on Sunday of, like, one dude's original character and a dude from a show of Shadow and Bone, or Six of Crows, something like that. And I tried not to disappoint them, but I think it went okay. Yeah, it was good. I got to see lots of people that are just encouraging. Tanya Quackenbush was a big help, and it was good to see Genesis. And I'm gonna leave people out because I'm gonna forget stuff because I was barely keeping my own ish together for it to be able to do it. But it was a really good experience overall. On some cosplay stuff, I saw one Karlach out of the entire weekend, which is crazy to me. There was a really good crossover between Sub-Zero and Elsa. There was a giant Bellsprout that was pretty phenomenal. It was maybe one of my favorite cosplayers. And I think one thing that was funny, I saw several Frankie cosplayers from One Piece, but they were all women, which just made it funnier. But yeah, it was good overall. I had people that came by and were just excited, encouraged. A good chunk of book 10 went out. And yeah, it was good. I was happy to see friends. I was happy to see people. And there are people that came by just to say hi, that always say hi every year. Again, more people commenting on the, you know, on the difference between what I'm doing and the street preachers and stuff like that. It was a good experience. I don't know, like, I haven't done the full math of everything, um, but if I'm estimating correctly, um, because I had to actually pay a ton of attention to the sales aspect of it. If the math the way I think the math, um, I did enough sales to cover my booth and the hotel. Um, that doesn't necessarily cover food or parking or gas or anything like that, or the expenses to do it, but it was enough that it wasn't like a dramatic loss or anything, which I am grateful for. Um, and I've already technically signed up for next year. But yeah, it was a good experience overall. I packed up, had to wait a good while for an elevator. Um, got my car loaded up. I got some like chicken at Smithfield on the way, and yeah, that was that was it. I'm sure there's more to it, and I'm sure there are some of you that were there and you were encouraging and a blessing. And I'm forgetting to mention you, but I just want to say thank you, because you genuinely made it a good experience. Some other stuff that happened. Uh, there was somewhere on Saturday, a person got so hot in Artist Alley that they fell and hit their head and got hurt. Um, a few people's booths uh, were knocked over a couple times. Uh, they were setting up night markets right outside the doors, which I never stuck around long enough to see for. I also never went down to the show floor, like the main Artist Alley floor. And I had tons of friends who were at the show who never made it up to Artist Alley either. But this is like 2 years in a row where I didn't even go down to the actual floor of the show, just because you're in the booth for 11 hours. I can't do it. Um, yeah, I got lots of good art done, lots of good conversations, and I feel like I was where I was supposed to be. Um, and like I posted some photos from Geek Church, and then somebody from my church at home said that was more people than was at our 11 o'clock service. Uh, just all in good jest and everything, but like I realize how rare of an opportunity it is, and I'm crazy grateful for it. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the rough draft of how it went down. I had friends that helped. It made it like possible to be able to do things. My friend Katie, the Glens. Um, Katie did some great artwork for the weekend. Uh, just yeah, all the things helped make it possible, and the encouragement and people checking on me and stuff as well. Um, yeah. Oh, I made, if you're familiar with Chit on TikTok, like the Do It Lady, I sold a Do It Lady sketch, which was really funny. Before I bounce out of here, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters, because literally y'all help make all this possible. And so we'll start down at the other end. Adam Davis, Rebecca Godlove, Patrick Gale, Sarah Lewis, Christina Ray, Jason Bullock. Oh, hold on. I want to pause and say this. My friend Amy, that passed away about a year and a half ago, um, her brother, Brian, who I've been Facebook friends with forever, um, or associated with online forever, I got to meet him in person for the first time. And, we just had a moment over the fact his sister is gone and how important she was. And I also got to see my friend Deborah Ulmer, who was also in that same place. But I'm grateful for my friends who stick around and are part of this. But the Skaggs family, I think this is the first Galaxycon I didn't see the Skaggs family. And that made me a little sad, but it's okay. I know they're doing life. Caleb Grimm, Zach Harris, John Jacobs, Todd Turner, Mike Perner, Jason Crutchfield, Jay Sheed, Alicia Glenn. Again, thank y'all for everything. Scott Ward, thank you, dude. Tesh Norton, Gear Saber Cosplay, Ron Petit, Jonathan Herman, the Coleman family, Jamie Montgomery, Colin Sproles, Jeff Weimer, David Brooks, Miss Lynn Turner, Michelle Stewart, Dorothy Winston Martin, Rivka and Tristan Birch, Fab Quack, Alan Wallace, Kelly Townsend, and now Miss Jackie Kraft. Thank you for all your support, your encouragement, and it's exhausting, and coming directly back from doing a 4-day long show to showing up at work at 7:30 the next morning was definitely a wake up call. But I'm grateful, and it's a good experience. It's a good life to be able to do these things and to have these opportunities, and I don't take them for granted. And I got to connect with people and encourage people in ways they may not have felt encouraged before, and definitely in the face of the people being discouraging around them. And just like I said in Geek Church, the whole goal is to let people know they are loved, they are wanted, and that God's not done with them. And I feel like that's effective. I feel like we got to do that in a lot of different ways. So thank you for all of you who listen, who encourage, who support. And yeah, I hope I get to see you at a con real soon. The next show will be Greenville, North Carolina on August 9th, and then Wake Forest Comic Con on August 23rd. And then the Brothers Boyd show right after that, Greensboro after that, and then Empire. No, then Myrtle Beach, then Empire. And just for the record, I don't always get accepted to shows. I got denied for a show this week too. While I was sitting at Galaxycon, I got denied for a show. But they didn't want me there. It is what it is. Shake the dust from the sandals and all. But man, I'm grateful for I'm welcome. So thank you guys, and I look forward to seeing you at a con real soon.